Is this the legendary? Nah. So I know that is,
Is this the legendary sword? Is this Tsukuyomi, the sword that banished the dreaded Orochi?
No, it couldn't be.
It's just a legend.
Nothing but a fairy tale.
Oh.
Let your heavenly rays become our hope as you guide us all. We'll figure out the voices as we go along. Oh, good grief. Okay. It's interesting the moment Amy is woken up, the sun outside my window starts shining directly in my goddamn face. Okay, lovely. We can finally control the game, and we can talk a little bit about what's going on with the visuals in this particular lovely little video game. So, Okami, as you can tell, is based on traditional Japanese art, and I believe the style they're imitating is called sumie, which is distinct from ukiyo-e, which was more like woodcuts and stuff. This is more ink and watercolor art. I'm gonna have to double check up on that, though, so, you know, don't take my word for it as some kind of an expert. Whee! Traversing in this game is so much fun, too. The tutorializing from Isen is also a little bit overbearing, which is one of the troubles that the game has, kind of similar to Skyward Sword, is that a lot of the time, it's kind of easy to feel like... Yeah, like the game is holding your hand really, 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 really hard. But yeah, you can kind of tell that, like, the way that they accomplish everything looking like an ink style is they created, I think it was like they created like a custom graphics thing, a little piece of their graphics engine that automatically adds those really thick, dark outlines to pretty much everything. And you can kind of see how the filter is a little... You can look at Amaterasu's ears, for example, how sometimes the dark kind of blooms out from them in a way that it's not really supposed to. And that's because the engine was not really perfect. And it was also meant to be seen, not at all in HD. Like, it was meant to be looked at a 480p screen, basically, back in the PS2 era. And it's a testament to just the strength of the game's aesthetics, that despite all the limitations and despite all the, you know, the limits on how much post-processing you could really do in the PS2 era to achieve, you know, this kind of hand-drawn look, that it still looks good in HD. Like, it just still looks cool. It just still looks like nothing else, even though you can see how the shadows, because of the filter engine thing, you can see how the shadows are kind of moving weirdly, like they're literally made of liquid, which they're not supposed to do that. That's just a consequence of the way that the that the engine works, and like that's what a good aesthetic can do for you. It's the same reason why, like, Super Mario Bros. 3, even like 30 years later, still actually looks pretty good, because it has a strong aesthetic despite having, you know, absolute crap for graphics. But it's still, like, it still looks good. It's still a game that's kind of compelling to look at. Hey, there's another constellation. This one looks like an adorable little mouse. Woof.
With a big-ass sword.
But yeah, the brushed gods especially have really strong character design. It's kind of a pity because they only ever really show up like twice in this. Like, they show up once when you get them, and then once more in like a cutscene near the end or something like that. And it's like, this is a game that's really goddamn confident in its character design. Because otherwise, I feel like if a AAA game had a character design that was as distinctive as any one of the brush gods, they would not be able to resist throwing it absolutely everywhere, because they want to merchandise it and yada yada. That's something that I've always kind of enjoyed and admired about Okami, is that it just kind of, you run into this character that looks absolutely fucking amazing, and then that character just leaves, and you don't see them again. And the game never feels insecure about whether or not you have appreciated the character sufficiently in the time that you spent with them. But yeah, that's basically the combat system you just saw. Much like, this is where you can tell the platinum that came later influence is that every single battle you get a grade based on how fast you fight and how much damage you take. And the better you do, the more extra money you get. Which is such a platinum thing. And that's one thing that's kind of a little bit out of character with the rest of the game. Because the rest of the game really isn't, like, visually designed to be this intense spectacle fighter. But that little aspect of the combat system is something that they just could not resist. I do love, like, look at the effects in the water, the way that they're rendered. Rather than being rendered as actual splashes, you can see they're rendered as these little tails of water that kind of follow you. And it just looks lovely. And that's the completeness of the aesthetic here. Like, something you'll find very, very little of in this game are unambiguous straight lines. Like, you can see kind of here with the stone gate there, but pretty much all of the objects around here are a little bit like the lines on these, what are they? Fences are not quite parallel, and there's a lot of bulging and a lot of, you know, geometrics and architecture going on in a lot of the objects. And that's part of what makes the whole world feel so handcrafted, is that they've been kind of careful not to have too many straight, like, completely rigid lines, because those will always look more man-made than artistic. And here comes the gorgeousness. Look at that. Look at how well that is executed.